Welcome back with another deck showcase, and this time we're using a Cyno Hyper Carry. So as we all know, Cyno passive works or activates after few rounds. And for the duration of Cyno's not having his passive, we will use Mona and Wanderer to deal a lot of damage. So let's go. So for round 1, Mona can summon, followed by Swirl using Wanderer. As we check our hand cards, we don't have usable cards as of now. And I think the only way we can use it is by sacrificing or tuning a card and making the Weeping Willows be triggered by having only 2 hand cards during the end phase. I think this is the first time I encounter such combination of Lini and Lynette with Oceanid. So I don't know yet how opponent's deck work, but I assume the best way to deal damage is via Vaporize. So the Summon MiMix will deal damage followed by Green Malkin. So that's the thing we need to avoid for now. Okay. So for round 2, since we already triggered Weeping Willow, we will draw additional 2 cards. And with that, we finally got good cards to play with. So we got Dunya and Jet. But I think it's better to use Dunya than Jet to fetch a new support card or companion card. So I think we can now use Dunya. Then I think it's also better to use Sunyata, removing the Willows, so that our Jet will have a lower cost, or cost will be reduced to 0. Oh, another Dunya. So let's cast another Dunya first, since the effect will be the same. And then we will also fetch another companion with the second Dunya. Okay. Why Dunya? I mean, there's a lot of companion to fetch, but why Dunya again? Anyway, moving forward, so Wanderer now deals another sword damage, and since Linnea doesn't have Hydro status anymore, we tune so that we will be able to use Wanderer's skill and prepare his burst for the following round. Since opponent already ended turn, we will be able to use the Chinju Forest. So I think, okay. Oh, nice. Our dice can be used for Wanderer. Okay, food for Lynette. Oh, it's for Linnea, not for Lynette. Okay, so Lynette already burst, and we can also burst too. But let's try to increase the stacks of Jet so that we will be able to have additional dice. Okay. And I think I will just cast the Silly too. Okay, so we can now proceed with Wanderer's Burst, dealing 7 damage. Since opponent has a passive or protection via Lynette Summon. I don't know why opponent still switch, but with that, we can now kill Lynette via Swirl. See? Since Cyno passive already triggered, we can now sacrifice either Mona or Wanderer for Cyno. So let's equip this Jade Spear, and I think I will use this Wangshu In. So Wangshu in case. Oh, I think we will end first. Yeah, so that will only heal Mona. But anyway. And now Wanderer dies. we can now switch to Cyno, since we will be attacking first next round. Okay, so and now we will be attacking first. So I think our dice, I think it's usable. So let's normal attack first to see what we will get with the silly draw. Okay, so we got a Vanessa and Sunyata giving discount on supports. So we can use it too. So before we burst, let's check and we will be able to kill Oceanid. So Sunyata, removing Liusu. And with that, Jet is discounted. Then except for Vanessa, we can choose mostly of our cards now. Cast Jet. And continue to tune cards for Cyno burst. So I think we can burst now. And with the dice we get from Jet will be used for another normal attack or skill for Cyno. So let's see, let's kill instead. Oh, we're dealing 8 damage, huh? So it's GG, good game. And let's move on to the next game. This time we match up with the Mew deck or the Mona Eula Wanderer deck. And since you already know how to use our deck or the Cyno Hyper Carry, let's just discuss any choice or decision that opponents will use. Okay? So I think opponents uses also Jet Engine. So using Mamere clearly indicates that opponent chooses a Jet Engine. So may the best Jet Engine win, I guess. Okay, so Catherine. And with that, opponents gain 2 cards, which we don't know yet. But I think if it's good, opponent will cast this turn. If not, the following round. Okay, so if opponent wants to hinder us or to stop us, I think the best move opponents can do is switch to Eula since they got Catherine and freeze my Wanderer. But I don't think opponent will do that and will just continue using Wanderer since opponent thinks opponents got advantage since Wanderer already have 1 energy versus our Wanderer without energy. With Luso, we eliminate Wanderer's advantage, and I think it's best to proceed now to Eula. Oh, Chinju Forest. Okay. That's probably one of the cards opponent got on Mamere. Okay, so still continuing. So I will just continue. And let's see. Huh? Why? Anyway, let's end our turn. And by next round, I think we can use Wanderer Burst since we ended first. All the opponents gain a dice on Chinjo Forest. That's negligible since we will be killing a character with 3 bursts. And now killing Wanderer. So I really think that it's better to switch on Eula last turn to stop our Wanderer, but I don't know why. But let's see. Okay, so Lotus. If opponent frees our Wanderer, I think we can switch to Mona, since opponent can use again Eula's skill and baiting them to kill our Mona. With Mona, when Mona dies, our Ito card can be used for Cyno, and I think it will be good game for opponent. So let's see. Okay, and now Mona dies, switching to Cyno, and with that we can use now the Jade Spear and the Ito card. But let's use Jade Spear first, and then the Ito card. So doing a skill will pump our damage. So now we're +1 damage and switching, but I think that's not enough now since we have enough damage to kill Mona. And our last dice can be used for another skill to kill Eula. And with that, it's good game. So yeah, we easily obliterate a Mew deck.